Wisconsin Republicans are waiting with bated breath to see if Republican Senator and Trump ally Ron Johnson will seek re-election. According to a report in The Hill, Wisconsin Republicans are quietly preparing backup plans in the event the unpopular Johnson decides not to run. Suspicions apparently grew after Johnson made national headlines last week telling an interviewer he may not be the best candidate for the 2022 U.S. Senate race. Democrats see Johnson as a vulnerable incumbent, and the Democratic primary field vying for his seat is crowded. Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who's the first black lieutenant governor in the state's history, joined the race on July 20th. He became the 8th candidate to enter the race. I got a chance to sit down with him and ask him why he decided to run. Let's take a listen. Lieutenant Governor Barnes, thank you so much for your time today. You are running to become the first black senator from your state of Wisconsin, and be among only a few black senators ever in the history of the Senate. What is your message to the voters of your state, and what do you want to see changed in the Senate and for the people of Wisconsin?
Well, thanks a lot for having me. And my message to voters of the state of Wisconsin is the same as it was when I ran for state representative all the way back in 2012. It's about opportunity. It's about recognizing that these systems are broken and we need people who are going to be dedicated, committed to changing them. These structures have kept people back of all races, of most backgrounds, not the most wealthy because they've had it okay, but in our rural communities and urban communities across the state, we need champions who are going to stand up for good paying jobs to make sure that healthcare is never a question, and also combat climate change. And this is something that I've been able to talk about in all 72 counties since I've been in office. And throughout this campaign, we've already started having those conversations over again to talk about what a path forward looks like for Wisconsin to be able to show some sort of leadership. Hard work just doesn't pay off like it used to. The values that we grew up learning what make us successful, well, so many folks are realizing that that's not reality right now.
You're entering a very crowded field. Tom Nelson is outperforming in some polls the sitting senator already. How do you just differentiate yourself from the other Democrats and win the primary?
Well, let me say, first of all, that poll showed that a generic Democrat outperforms Ron Johnson. He's just the only person that put that poll forward. And so when it comes to distinguishing myself and differentiating myself from the field, I get to come into this race as the most qualified candidate, the most experienced candidate, the one who has done the work traveling and meeting with people from all walks of life in Wisconsin, and also taking on the bigger issues. And that experience isn't just in terms of being in elected office, it's the life experience, having grown up in the city of Milwaukee and being born in one of the most challenged areas of this entire country, and also been a product of our Milwaukee public school system, which gets a bad rap. I've been able to have the conversations with people that no one else in this race is able to have. And these conversations, as I said before, extend from the city of Milwaukee all the way through rural parts of the state, all the way on up to Superior and beyond. And it is that experience that is ultimately going to make the difference. Being a voice that has been there in the most challenging of circumstances that we've dealt with, whether it's the racial reckoning that took place over last year, the pandemic response, and now recovery, and even natural storms that have swept through, natural disasters that have swept through the state. I can say that I have been there and will continue to be there. And running for the United States Senate provides a unique opportunity to take that to another level, because we don't have the support from the current occupant of the seat. And that's something that we have to change if we want to change the lives of people for the better here in Wisconsin and across the country.
You rightly tout your experience as a public official and servant in that state, but you're relatively young to run for the Senate. You're 34 years old. The youngest person in the Senate right now is John Ossoff, who is also 34 years old. Do you consider your youth to be a attribute, a positive, or is it something you have to overcome in this race?
It's certainly an attribute. I come in at this young age still the most qualified. I started high school when I was 12 years old. I started college when I was excuse me. I started college when I was 16, and I got elected lieutenant governor at the age of 31. And so the age thing, I think, is been a benefit. I've been able to connect with so many more people, broader swaths of the population. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up, so I developed an older soul relatively quickly. My grandmother's from Mississippi, my granddad's from Louisiana. I learned a lot real fast from both of them.
Let me switch a little bit to fundraising. How do you expect to be able to raise enough money, quite frankly, this is part of the game, to be able to compete? One of the people running against you is a billionaire, another is a millionaire. How do you attract enough attention and raise enough money to actually compete in this race?
Well, we're going to talk about the issues that matter. The reality is the majority of the people in this state, in this country, are not millionaires or billionaires, and that's why we're going to do everything we can to hammer home a message that centers working class people, that centers the challenges that working class people face, the fact that people are working harder, working longer, and are paid less money. Whether it's adjusted for inflation or in terms of real dollars. I come from working class roots. My dad was an assembly line worker. My mother taught in Milwaukee public schools, and that is more comparable to the life that people live here in the state of Wisconsin, across the country. And when we drive home that bold message about needing to act on the climate, needing to address the challenges that people still continue to face in healthcare, and also the need for good paying jobs, it is my hope that it is one that is resonating, because we're building a true grassroots coalition. That's what I've done my entire career. I started out as an organizer. My first job out of college was an organizer. It means making sure that we are actually communicating with people and communicating our values in a way that folks can understand. This is about improving quality of life, and we've had too many politicians who've been self-interested, people who will only make the decisions that benefit them personally, while regular people fall by the wayside. You can just look at this pandemic, for instance. The amount of wealth that has increased with the top 1%, billionaire wealth has continued to balloon, while folks who weren't doing so well going into this pandemic, many of them find themselves doing worse or still facing significant challenges. We're going to be on the way to a potential disaster with evictions. And housing has been something that's been completely ignored, because that's where people's, their interest lies. They have financial interest tied into it. And it's a system that people haven't been willing or dedicated to fixing.
Up next, Wisconsin Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes shares his thoughts on policing, the filibuster, and more. More of my conversation when we come back. You're watching Prime on BNC. Welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Wisconsin's Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, who is running to become the state's first Black U.S. Senator. Take a listen. Let me ask you a few questions about some things that are facing the Senate right now, some broader issues and that are facing Democrats nationally right now. How do you feel about the slogan and the idea behind defund the police?
Well, I feel that communities have been continuously under-resourced, and I feel that we also have found ourselves trapped in this response model. We're being reactionary. We aren't being proactive. And what I support is what we have seen to be has proven to work, and that is getting out in front of this stuff. I mean, if you compare communities, the communities with the better paying jobs, the communities with higher incomes, communities with fully funded schools, those are the communities that have hardly any need for a police response. So why can't that be the reality for every community in the city of Milwaukee, every community in the state of Wisconsin, every community across this entire country? If we make sure people have what they need on the front end, then we won't even have to have this conversation about where do we need a police presence. It's about making sure that we are crafting the framework so that people can live happy, healthy, and productive lives. The majority of people who get into certain instances, I mean, the fact is, when we're talking about abject poverty and there being a real need for survival, we are going to see things happen that we don't want to see. And this is the same conversation with criminal justice in general. If we are providing good paying jobs in communities, if we're providing a solid education regardless of your zip code, the fact is you are going to be less likely to ever come in contact with the criminal justice system. And when we also start to think about the larger structures that have been built on racism, and we see how there is a disproportionate response depending on the color of your skin, once we actually have a real conversation in this country about that, then we'll be able to begin to take down this system of injustice that has incarcerated so many people, that has led to so many communities being over-policed.
On another subject, do you support the elimination of the filibuster to protect voting rights? And if you were in the Senate today, would you vote to eliminate the filibuster?
Without a doubt, the filibuster is getting in the way of so much that we need to progress as a society. This could be voting rights, this could be infrastructure. We're sitting around doing this whole dance just simply because a few people want to protect this institution that is a relic of the past, and that is a past that has been damaging and downright has destroyed the lives of people that look like you and I. And what is the point of holding on to it if we can't get action on healthcare? What's the point of holding on to it if we can't get action on the climate? What's the point of holding on to it if we can't get action on basic voting rights? Our democracy is in jeopardy right now. We are in a very fragile place as a society, and if the choice is the filibuster or democracy, then obviously we need to choose democracy. The future of this country can ultimately be impacted, or will ultimately be impacted, on what happens with the filibuster. We can choose progress or we can choose failure. Getting rid of the filibuster is the path towards progress.
In the same way that Democrats held the House, Senate, and the presidency when Barack Obama was first elected, Democrats once again hold the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Immigration activists thought that Obama would move swiftly on comprehensive immigration reform. They did not, and then they lost the House and then the Senate, and then it became an impossibility. Do you believe that the Democrats should be pushing ahead more aggressively to make sure right now that they are trying to pass comprehensive immigration reform, or should it be lower in the pecking order of things that need to get done?
Of course, we need a comprehensive path to citizenship. This is something that we haven't seen it get right in the federal government for a long time. We're talking about families who've done nothing but contribute to our society. And, we see what happens when our immigrant communities continue to be disregarded. We see what happens when our immigrant communities are treated as some sort of second-class citizens. And that's not the case. I think that we need to be sure that we are bold in the way that we address the issue of comprehensive immigration reform. It's been far too long, and it is reasonable that people are frustrated with the lack of progress.
Absolutely. So going out of this, my last question to you, what do you want people to take away from you? How does America look different? How does Wisconsin look different with a Senator Barnes elected in this election?
Yeah, well, thanks so much for that. And I hope people will have a chance to go to the website, mandelabarnes.com, and join the team. Because, as I said, we are building a large, multiracial, multi-ethnic, intergenerational, working class, rural coalition. And this is not for the sake of winning an election. This is for the sake of furthering our society, to make sure that we dispel the myths that we are subject to this divide that so many Republicans choose to use just to benefit themselves politically. I personally know that a better world is possible. I know that we can be far greater than we actually are right now. There's so many nefarious forces that stand in the way of that progress. And I want people to remember that this doesn't end with an election. An election is the starting point. We elect the people, we hold people accountable, and we make sure that we are doing the things that people talked about during the campaign trail. And I'm fortunate to have had a track record that exemplifies everything that I am going into this campaign talking about. So I am not going to sit here and pretend that I am the sole person that can change the world. What I'm saying is that we can all do it if we try together.
Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, thank you so much for your time, sir.